Okay, so The Killing Joke, the long-anticipated Batman animated film and the most requested adaptation to one of the most influential Batman comics of all time. And after seeing the reviews circulating around the internet, I can see that this film has been given much praise from the fans and has reached critical acclaim from critics. I didn't want to do a review on this masterpiece of a film, but considering I haven't posted in a while, I feel like I owe you guys, so here's my review of Batman The Killing Joke. The film starts with me skipping the first 30 minutes of the film because they are the most boring and pointless filler I have seen since anime. I stand corrected, actually. I would rather watch anime filler than this. Remember that forum post that explained the first 30 minutes of the film? Well, give that man a trophy because that post was right. Basically, the entire film is divided into two short films. The first half is a short film fleshing out Batgirl, while the remaining half is pretty much what we all paid for, the adaptation of The Killing Joke. For those that don't know, let me give you the short summary. The producers and the writer knew that they could not adapt the graphic novel to fit the length of a feature film, so they decided to use the remaining time they need to fill in, or at least to expand, Batgirl's role in the story, who have very little involvement in the actual comic, which is not a bad thing. Expanding on certain things in a story could, in some ways, enhance the story, but the route they chose is not only pathetically stupid, but it also insults my eyes whenever I look upon it. What bothers me the most about this is the story going on in the prologue has little to no relation with the rest of the film. You can literally skip the first 30 minutes and you wouldn't be missing anything. Does Batgirl and Batman's romantic relationship have any effect with the rest of the film? No. Do we ever see or hear any of the new characters introduced in the prologue again after 30 minutes? No. Does any of the events that happen in the prologue have any effect on the rest of the film? No. For Christ's sake, the biggest mob boss is killed in the prologue. Batgirl even mentions it as if it was a big deal.
For you, my love.
Do you realize what you've done? He was the biggest boss in Gotham.
But nope, we can't have something that important affect the rest of the film because we want to remain faithful to the comic, which is understandable, don't get me wrong, but my biggest question now would have to be, why would you include something that important in the prologue if it's not going to affect the rest of the story? Some might be wondering, well, what about the way how the movie is portraying Batgirl? She acts completely out of character. Now, I would agree with you if this movie is following any continuity, comic book or animated show. The problem is it's not. So I guess we should consider this another interpretation of Batgirl. A shitty interpretation. I mean, all she does is struggle to take down a simple mob boss, even though she has 3 years of experience as a superhero.
Waste my time with punk amateurs.
Oh, baby, I think you've misjudged me. Smells like cherries, huh? You've got maybe 10 seconds to bedtime, baby.
And she bitch and moans about how her sugar daddy isn't paying much attention to her.
There is no other class, Reese. This is it. And I'm good. He won't say it, but I'm the best damn student he ever had. So if he's gonna start making decisions based on emotions, of which he has zero, then I think we've got a problem.
We'll talk later.
It was just sex, for God's sake. It doesn't have to mean anything. It's not like we have to care. I don't care. You don't care. We just go back where you was.
Darkness, my old friend.
And don't even get me started on this.
How dare you? I'm in this because of you. I did what you wanted. I made it work. Ugh.
What is this?
By the way, the fucking bad guy in the first half is named Paris France. Paris France. You could have picked anyone from the Batman Rogues Gallery, but instead, this is what you came up with. Then there's the second half of the film, the actual story we have been wanting to see. I don't like it. Here's why. I watched this in the theater, keep that in mind because it plays a huge role in why I don't like this film. The animation is not bad, but at the same time, it's not great neither. If I remember correctly, the film was originally supposed to be a direct-to-DVD film, but they decided to give it a theatrical release. The problem is, the mistakes that you normally see in a direct-to-DVD movie, you notice them on the big screen. And they're so noticeable.
When the world is full of care.
While the story is loyal to its source material, there is a tremendous lack of pace, and nothing is more noticeable than the last scene with Batman and Joker. Seriously, if anybody has a copy of the comic and the film, compare the two final scenes. Personally, I felt that the final joke the Joker makes to Batman in the film feels a bit rushed. There is also a bunch of dialogue that was cut from the comic, and somehow the comic shows more expression than the film. Now, don't get me wrong, cut dialogue isn't that much of a problem for me, but some of the cut dialogue I felt was pretty necessary to be included in the film. As for the expressions, I only mentioned them because, and I hate to say this, compare what you saw in the film to the comic. Some of the dialogue mentioned in the film doesn't match the expressions shown in that same film. To me, they give off a different tone. For example, the scene where Joker asks Batman why can't he see the funny side of how pointless life is. In the comic, Joker's facial expressions show him a bit confused, while in the movie, Joker's voice tone and facial expression shows him to be angry.
I mean, do you ever think about how many times we've come close to World War III over a flock of geese on a computer screen? Silly goose, it's all a joke. Everything anybody's ever valued or struggled for, it's monstrous. Why can't you see the funny side? Why aren't you laughing?
Overall, while the story itself is great and the voice acting is amazing, the fact that I have to suffer for 30 minutes to get to the actual film, and all the problems that I mentioned above, I don't see myself considering this film a must-watch. But before I go, I would strongly recommend checking out this YouTube video. I'll post in the link in the description below. It's a motion comic of The Killing Joke, and after watching it, I strongly believe that it's better than the film.